Let us offer our consecration to the Lord. Lord, we offer up to you this day, and we ask that you glorify your name through us. We ask that all we do as we continue through this first week of Advent and actually finishing the week may also celebrate the thankfulness we recognized yesterday and continue to be thankful for all your gifts. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Well, tomorrow is, among other things, the memorial of St. Francis Xavier. He's one of the co-founders of the Jesuit order, and he is most known for his work in India. And so, according to the Vatican, the journey to India for him was 13 months. I'm assuming he must have gone overland. I'm not sure actually what it says. Maybe I can look that up. But anyway, it was it was a voyage, but by sea, I don't know, took 13 months. I mean, remember, I was a sailor, and granted, we have different kinds of ships, but we were going less than 20 miles an hour. And it took us maybe about a week to cross the entire Pacific. So 13 months, that's a long time. But anyway, he landed in Goa, and he went and he began to preach and to live the gospel in a way to teach others. And according to the Vatican, one of the interesting things that he did is he provided more instruction for those who were baptized, but they never received instruction in the faith. And that's an important point. That's one of the things that it is so important that we do is teaching the faith, because we can teach people the basics of the faith just on the simple level. This is what we believe and everything else. But our faith is lived every day, and therefore we have to deepen our understanding of what it means in order to live our faith well. Now, let me give you a good example of this. I always relate faith and science together. You've listened to my show long enough to know that that's what I do. I relate faith and science together. And when I'm preaching at the altar at St. Anthony Parish, where this radio program comes from, and it's sponsored by St. Anthony Parish, when I preach from the altar, people know it's always faith in science. And so we put the two together. Now, imagine you learn the basics of physics, but you're not going to be a physics professor, or you're not going to live physics well. I have a standard joke that I say, living not too far from Harvard Square. And I said, you encounter people who believe they are above the law, including the laws of physics. Because you watch some people who may be of student age, I'll put it that way, who do things and go, I don't know how they did that. How did you do that? Not that they did something miraculous or something that shouldn't have happened or whatever. It's like, my best example is the guy who ran a red light on a bicycle across Memorial Drive here in Boston. If you're not from Boston, but you might have seen pictures, Memorial Drive is on the Cambridge side of the Charles River, and it is used to be known as, what was it? They used to call them Pleasure Road or something like that. It was no commercial vehicles were allowed on. I think that has changed. I'm not sure. But anyway, Memorial Drive. So it was snowing out. He's riding on a bike, crossing the Charles River on what is known as, I believe that's called the JFK Bridge. Because just a little thing. On Boston, this road is called Western Ave. You cross the bridge, it's called JFK Boulevard or JFK Street. And so he crosses the bridge, gonna cross Memorial Drive, get onto JFK Street, which is the same roadway, just in a different city. And the light turns red, so his light turns red, and he doesn't stop. He just keeps going in the snow. Please note that. And a truck started to pull out and noticed him at the last moment and stopped. And he went through, and it's like, there you go. He believes he's above the law, including the laws of physics. So that's what I wanted to put out. So that's what I'm saying. Imagine you know just enough physics to get through a high school physics class, which is about all I know. And that's it. And yet we have to live physics a lot every day, things are going to go wrong. Eventually, you're going to make some mistake. Or we could even say chemistry. How many times do you hear of people doing that old mixing? I'm not going to name the chemicals, just make sure no one tries it. But mixing those two cleaning chemicals that turn into a poisonous gas. And they may have learned that in high school, but they have forgotten, or maybe they never learned it, and disaster happens. It was a case maybe about 5 years ago of a manager of a store who literally died when one of the employees mixed those two gases, and he basically told everyone get out of the store, did what he could to fix the situation, and it overcame him and killed him. So that's the thing is, we can give people just enough information, but we need to give people more. And that's what St. Francis Xavier did. He not only preached the gospel, but he preached the gospel who heard a minimum amount of the gospel to give them more, to give them an understanding, a deeper understanding of our faith. And that's one of the things that we're called to do in parishes as well, is to give that adult education so that people understand the faith. We've done a few things in this parish. The last thing I did, no one showed up, so I'd like to do something again that kind of, hopefully people will show up. But that's what we do. Anyway, we're going to talk more on the other side of the break. You're listening to St. Anthony Overnight from St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts on this Friday of the first week of Advent. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. And don't forget our own website, CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. Check out our website. Check out the archives of the show. Check out our Substack newsletter. And check out all kinds of things over there at CatholicAudiomedia.com. Well, in any case, we're talking about St. Francis Xavier, who traveled the 13 months to get to India. He landed in Goa, and then he went and started preaching the gospel over there. And I learned this actually when I met Father Rufus Pereira, who was from India, that there was a strong Portuguese heritage in India. I had no idea. The Portuguese went to India as well. So anyway, he was preaching the gospel to all these people, and he was baptizing, he's doing the sacraments, he's doing everything. Very well known to lead them to come to understand the faith. But as I said, the focus that's important is that word, those words, that just by giving people a basic understanding of the faith is not good enough. This is why I railed against it this week. I know maybe I shouldn't focus too much on it. This is why I don't like the Baltimore Catechism. It's too superficial. It gives people a very, very basic understanding of the faith, but then it has to be built upon. They need to deepen their faith. They need to understand. We all do. To deepen. And I learn things all the time. One of the things I've been doing recently is I've been reading the actual catechism from the Council of Trent, not the Baltimore Catechism, the Catechism of the Council of Trent, deepening my understanding of the faith. I know the Vatican II Catechism, and that builds upon the Council of Trent. So I've done some of that too. So understand that. One of the things we have a responsibility to do is to always deepen our faith. One of the gospel readings today shows Jesus saying he saw the people like sheep without a shepherd. And people are sheep without a shepherd when either they aren't being obviously shepherded, or they aren't being fed enough a deeper understanding of the faith, and no one really cares to give them a deeper understanding of the faith, then they are just like that, sheep without a shepherd. Because they don't know what directions to go. They don't know where to go and everything else. And they will find their source of information wherever they may. And one of the things that happens is people, it's very common here in this time of the internet. And granted, I'm broadcasting on the internet too. But it's very common here in this time of the internet when people are spreading information out. And it's all, it may be superficial, or it may be out of context. That's another thing. Or it may be described by people who just aren't qualified to make those statements. You see that a lot in a lot of the forums, the Catholicism forums. You see a lot where people will make a statement, and either their statement is completely wrong, or it's just not really drawing from a good context. And so it's not done well. So here we see St. Francis Xavier truly understood the importance of going out and preaching the gospel, not only to the people who had never heard the gospel, but to the people who had heard the gospel, but still needed deeper formation. And that's one of the things parishes exist to do, to give people deeper formation. Anyway, we are coming up on the second week of Advent this coming weekend. I hope you have a blessed second week. In the meantime, I'm going to be giving a retreat tomorrow at St. Patrick's in Lowell. Have a blessed day. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.